Welcome to Women of Worth. Oh, wow. I'm Michelle Martin. How exactly are individuals harnessing the power of a crowd to ignite their startups, their creative idea, get their businesses off the ground? It is such a pleasure to welcome to WOW a woman who traveled from Silicon Valley to Las Vegas, to Hong Kong, to San Diego, to meet with the people who are making this happen, the major influences when it comes to using social networks to bring together the investors, the venture capitalists, the entrepreneurs. Just how is crowdfunding impacting both regional and international economies, and how can you use crowdfunding to get your business going or going at a whole new level? We'll take your calls as well at 669-11938. I think it'll be fun for you to get some advice on crowdfunding as we welcome to WOW Kwek Hong Sin. She will be speaking at Asia's first crowdfunding conference here in Singapore. We'll get ahead of the line here in WOW to understand how crowdfunding could ignite your business. How are you doing, Hong Sin?
I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for joining us. When I hear about crowdfunding, I think of an open appeal to the crowd. And off air, we were talking about how, this can range from individuals who want to get their innovative ideas off the ground, whether it is, I think I read something about a new type of 360-degree camera that has raised over £900,000 over in Europe, in the EU. And here in Singapore, I understand Sarah Chung De Win, a name that we're familiar with here on 938 Live because she worked with us, she's going to be using crowdfunding to fund her latest album, her bilingual album. So she's hosting a listening party today, and tomorrow will launch crowdfunding on Indiegogo. Let's start with a very simple idea so people get a sense of what crowdfunding is all about. You telling me about a man who is crowdfunding to raise money to put together a potato salad.
Yes. He just says, I want to make a potato salad. And then his campaign closing date is on 2nd August. And to date, he actually had people funded him about probably 50 over thousand.
In
US
real
dollars.
money?
Real money. And if you were to read his comment, right at the end of the comment, he said he may not the potato salad may not necessarily taste good.
So he starts off with a stated goal that he wants to make a potato salad,
Yes.
and will the crowd please help him?
Yes.
And people donated in sums that he specified.
Yes.
From as little as
$1.
$1.
Yes. So we classified this as weird project. But the key thing is, you take a look at his video. A lot of them made the comment that is the video that draw them to contribute. So a very strong, compelling story in the space of crowdfunding do get the attention of the funders or the investors.
Whether it's potato salad or the fact that you're an entrepreneur behind a big business, it always comes down to the power of the story.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so how you pitch your idea to the crowd, does it matter? Does how you pitch your idea matter depending on the different platforms? Let's get back to the basics. Let's define crowdfunding. You say there are 4 types.
Yes. There are 4 types of crowdfunding, starting with donation based, meaning to say people contribute with love. People contribute without expecting return.
Okay.
People contribute because they wanted that idea to realize. People contribute that amount of money because they wanted to help somebody. So in that classification of donation based, generally nobody expects any monetary return or anything in return.
Okay, so you're appealing to goodness. Your story should appeal to people's sense of goodness or wanting to contribute because they're not going to expect any return from this.
Yes.
Okay.
No expectation of return.
Can you give us some examples of this?
Well, I mean, the potato salad is one.
How did he up the amounts that were coming through? He would say, I would like to use better mayonnaise, for example. Right?
Yeah, something like, he have different ranges of dollar value that he's seeking for. But the last one that I saw was pay $250 for better mayonnaise. So,
and people really felt passionate about this man's salad. To want to contribute.
Yes, I think the whole entire video and the progress that he's making in terms of the potato salad got everybody excited, or it's really about what the market wants, what the consumer is looking for. Maybe there is really this space that people wanted a better potato salad.
So the people who contributed to him are not expecting a taste of this potato salad at all.
Well, for those with different dollar value, higher dollar value, do get to taste the potato salad.
As well they should. So that's the first of 4 types of crowdfunding.
Yes. So then you have the second type, which is called reward-based or perks-based.
Okay.
So meaning to say you contribute a certain amount of money and you get something in return. Like our Peach Perfect session, we have Sarah Ching, when you contribute a certain amount, you get T-shirt or you get her CD. The most popular ones that I can reference is like the Singapore 3D Pirate. They actually, went on the platform to get crowdfunded. To a certain amount of money, you'll get a printer, the 3D Pirate printer in return. So they have different models to get funded.
Wow!
And of course, there are the Zealous watch. Somebody who wanted to create Ocean Tang. He created a limited edition of personalized watch. And by contributing a certain amount of money, you get his watch. So the most popular one, I think, in America is, you have like the Pebble watch. Pebble watch. Okay. Where the amount of money, I think, when they contributed, when it was funded, it reaches about $10 million over dollars.
Wow.
Then you have like the Oculus. Which is a video visor for video games. Yeah. And that specific case, they got crowdfunded about $2 million. And within a very short span of time, Facebook stepped in to invest in the company and bought them for $2.5 billion.
Wow, sounds like the stuff of dreams come true. But it was really your own inability to secure funding that got you started on this journey. Tell us a little of your story.
Well, for my personal case is that because I'm running a advisory and consultancy firm, I started last year. So people around me say, why don't you go talk to some VCs and try to get some funding? And generally, I get a lot of rejection. And I was just so adamant to look at alternative funding.
Why do you think you were being rejected?
Well, I don't have products. I don't have a physical product to look at projections or profit. But they were very nice. They said, why don't you come back like 3-5 years later and see how your business goes before, we start investing in you.
So the classic example that most entrepreneurs face, inability to get funding because they don't have the results yet to prove that they're worth funding.
Yes. And but it doesn't stop me. So because I'm just somebody that don't take no for an answer, and I went on searching and I chanced on crowdfunding. When I read it online, I just find that it's too good to be true.
It does sound like it.
And I decided to, go out to the US and find out more and meet some of these people. And I really meet some real people really exercising crowdfunding, learning from them what they actually do with crowdfunding and what crowdfunding can really help in terms of job creations, in terms of giving life hopes to entrepreneurs and startups. The additional things that I also learned is that today crowdfunding actually fills the gap of a market valuation, meaning to say if the product is something which is totally new, and if the venture capitalists or the investors are not familiar with it, they are haphazard or 50-50, they would suggest to the innovator or the entrepreneur to get onto crowdfunding. Yeah. And if they get onto crowdfunding, if they get funded, they said, okay, I'm ready to invest in that technology because the crowd called for it. So it's a market validation for a lot of the VCs and, of course, for the entrepreneur themselves.
What is crowdfunding? How can you get started? Who can you turn to get your crowdfunding attempt off the ground? We'll come back with my guest in Wow, Kwek Hong Sin. We'll take your calls as well at 669-11938. Women of Worth continues after this.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
I'm looking at Indiegogo, and there's so many people who are using this particular website to start their campaign to raise money for things that range from real books sent to you in the post, a special children's story being crowdfunded called Dragon in the Post, and then there is a vision to build the largest, most magnificent yoga dome in Europe, which so far has raised 55,000 euros, and it's got 44 hours left on the clock. My guest this evening giving us insight into how you can unleash the potential of the crowd. Kwek Hong Sin is the woman behind an upcoming crowdfunding Asia Summit happening August 4th and 5th. She'll have a range of experts to speak at this conference, ranging from Douglas Elenoff, who is a partner of the Elenoff Scoff Group, which has a specialty in business transactions, to Elizabeth Brahman. She is Chief Production Officer of Realty Mogul, which has helped several companies reach for success in real estate and technology. A whole host of conference speakers as well. I want to ask you a very basic question when it comes to crowdfunding, Hong Sin. Does one have to be a real whiz with social media in order to get onto these platforms like Indiegogo, like Kickstarter?
No. The fundamental fact is really much based on that conviction and the passion of the individual who wants to get funded. They just have to work on firstly, a compelling story of what they want to create. And from there, they identify what kind of crowdfunding that they want to go on to, whether if it's donation or reward, or even the other additional two or three, the third and the fourth type, which is equity-based or lending-based.
Okay, take us through those types. At the start of the program, we outlined that there are 4 different types of crowdfunding according to Hong Sin's template, and we went through the donation-based, rewards and perks-based sort of crowdfunding. Now we're on to equity-based. What's that about?
Yes. So equity is basically about contributing a sum of money for a certain percentage of stake or equity. So it is still very new in Asia. There's a lot of work to be done. Regulators across Asia is working towards a framework, policy, structures, and in fact, the subject will be briefly covered during the summit. It is very important to get it properly regulated because the sum of money typically invested in equity crowdfunding are fairly big sum of money.
Now, since we're talking about regulation, I know in the United States there are restrictions on how much money, who is allowed to fund a new business, how much they are allowed to contribute. So there are restrictions and regulations, quite similar to hedge fund investing. Are there restrictions on crowdfunding here in Singapore?
On equity base, generally, if you get onto Monetary Authority Singapore website, you can do a check on the FAQ. There is some information that talks about what is crowdfunding, whether one can actually have a crowdfunding platform, and whether if one requires a license. They have pretty comprehensive crowdfunding FAQ on the website if one is interested to build that platform.
Just briefly, who cannot crowdfund?
Well, if it's equity-based, generally, if we're looking at the Singapore guidelines, I believe it is still classified under accredited investment. So it is not open to everybody. People with high net worth. But really into the detail, I really suggest that people who are keen to look at equity crowdfunding to take a look at the website.
How interested are people in crowdfunding in Singapore? You say there's a big wave over in the US and in Europe, and in Singapore, the wave has yet to crest. We're still at the nascent side of things, right? But people are writing to you, even though, you're putting together the summit. People are already writing to you for information about crowdfunding. Can you give us some examples about, and give us a sense of how excited people are here in Singapore about crowdfunding?
Well, while we open the website for registration, we also open a page for people to send in their queries. In fact, this morning I have somebody who wrote in and says, they are fighting for custody of the child they've been taking care of their the sisters and the brother-in-law. And they would like to keep the baby and would like to keep the children, and they're seeking for funding and support. We have people that wrote in and says they are students who just came back. They want to start their dream. What can they do? How can they contribute to this whole summit? Can they get some can they share their story? And we have even people from Nigeria that wrote in all over the world. In fact, Japan, Korea, that wrote in and shared their views about crowdfunding.
How can you assess the legitimacy of the claims of someone who is crowdfunding?
Well, I think the fundamental lies very much on the platform providers. They do have a set of guidelines and policies. Specifically for donation and reward base, the crowdfunding platform provider do have those guidelines and policies for the campaigners or issuers or startup, if you want to call them, or entrepreneurs to read through before they get onto the platform. So they do have clarity in terms of like the services fee, what they can do, cannot do, and those are guiding principles to support them, to help them crowdfund.
More on crowdfunding. Here in Singapore, I once came across a very talented actress who said she was crowdfunding to raise money for her masters over in the States. How can you harness the power of a crowd? What homework should you do before you turn to those sites out there? And does my guest have some suggestions on which sites to head to if you're looking to appeal to the goodness of people's hearts in order to meet your business goals? Kwek Hong Sin is my guest in the Wow Club. Stay tuned for more great ideas.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
We are trying to decode the power of crowdfunding, or we're trying to decode the formula that will allow you to tap into the power of crowdfunding that allowed Zach Danger Brown, for example, to, recoup or get almost over $50,000 in donations through Kickstarter. How? He said, basically, I'm just making potato salad. I haven't decided what kind yet. But apparently, his plea for people to give him money so he could make potato salad so tickled people, spread so much joy, everybody wanted to get in on it. So for, I think, pledges that range from a couple of dollars to $35 to $49, people received anything from a bite of the potato salad to a t-shirt. Incredible how crowdfunding is literally democratizing this whole idea of funding for individuals, or allowing people to tap on this very democratic notion of funding. The woman behind Crowdfunding Asia 2014 is my guest in WOW. Her name is Kwek Hong Sin, and she's a woman behind Asia's first crowdfunding conference. You're going to be speaking as well August 4th and 5th. You have such a range of guests, speakers, and breakout sessions and dialogues happening at this particular conference on August 4th and 5th, by the way. I want to ask you why you're so passionate, Hong Sin, about crowdfunding.
I think the very key thing is I myself is a startup, and when I went out to look for funding, it is so challenging. When I chance on crowdfunding, I just find that it is so amazing, so awesome, so just unbelievable. And instead of coming back to build a platform just to do a platform provider, I decided that I should do more than just being a platform provider. Simply put as, if today I'm able to raise the bar of awareness across entire Asia, we can then really work very closely with the US and the European to really call this global crowdfunding. And with
so you want to help crowdfunding go global?
Yes.
And you want to make sure Asia has a seat at the table?
Yes.
Now, when people come to you and say, Hong Sin, can you recommend some good sites for me to start crowdfunding? What are the platforms? Do you look at platforms by way of traffic? What do you say to people who come for advice on which sites to head to?
Okay. Typically, when you talk about crowdfunding, most of the people are quite ignorant. But when you mention Kickstarter, Indiegogo, they say, oh, so that's crowdfunding. But actually, in the local space, there are people like Crowdtivate, part owned by StarHub, and collaborated with Crowdonomics. These are local platform providers. In Malaysia, you have Pitch In, you have MyStarter. In Indonesia, you have Ujakan, you have Patungan, you have Kita Bisa. Across over in Thailand, you have two new platforms called Sinwatana, as well as My Dream Maker. And it is actually populated across entire Asia. But back on the question about which platform will be best, I think fundamentally you need to know the nature of the business that you are, or the nature of the crowd that you are trying to appeal to. And also very importantly, whether, are you online savvy? Do you have a social media that you have your fan base or friends?
So you're saying you have to do your homework.
Yes.
Before you head to these online platforms.
Yes.
Why is that important?
Well, if you are somebody that is totally offline and you just get onto a crowdfunding platform and expect the crowdfunding platform provider to do every single thing, I think it's going to be very, very tough. Especially if, they don't have a strong, compelling story. But if today the story is very, compelled and something that the world would like to see it happen, then, through word of mouth, it actually can go viral and can get supported. So I like to say that, typically when you talk about crowdfunding platforms, the very common popular ones are the international platforms like, the Kickstarters, even for Possible, which is also an Australian base. They started to have presence in Singapore, or even, Indiegogo, and many other different platforms providers.
Digital marketeers have been trying to figure out the secret formula to getting people to send money their way for years. And we've evolved from, word of mouth marketing to trying to make these viral videos, to now this discussion on crowdfunding. What are those who are successful at crowdfunding doing that, really great charities out there struggle with when it comes to appealing to people's sense of goodness, to enable a flow of money towards a cause? So what are crowdfunders doing differently? I'm sure charities would like to learn the lesson because, they too appeal to the goodness of individuals.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think traditionally, charity organizations seek for funding through different events and activities. Those are still good. It's just that they are appealing to a local group of audience, and typically they have the same sets of database. They send the same information with probably similar message or maybe a different color, look and feel. But in reality, with crowdfunding, you are appealing to the whole world. And if your story are very well cast, the message gets through, it generally will spread and it can go viral and it can reach out to anybody on internet to come in to support you.
I wonder if it's something about needing to feel like you're part of the tribe. I go back again to this man who's putting together a potato salad, and he's raised over $50,000. It just seems to be a bit of fun, and people want to be in on the fun and say, hey, I got a taste of the potato salad. Did you? It's almost like people want to be in on the next, cool, fun, silly thing to do for some.
In a way, but he does have a very strong, compelling videos.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
The many comment that says, because of the video, they are willing to contribute that amount of money.
Right. I guess if you're going to be offbeat, you have to be totally offbeat and funny at that.
Yes.
And if you want to be serious, then again, it comes back to how you sell your stories. Now, at this particular conference, individuals like His Excellency Kan Chanmeta, from Secretary of State from Kingdom of Cambodia, will be in attendance. Why are individuals from countries in Asia so keen on crowdfunding?
Well, for Cambodia, they are really looking at the possibility of leveraging over crowdfunding to support, the economies and also the businesses, the startups, like specifically in the space of Indonesia, where I just did a closed-door workshop last week. And they were sharing that, for years that they've been seeking for fundings and support, it has always been very, very challenging. And with the crowdfunding, they find, it is like a ray of hope, light at the end of the tunnel. It really gives the designer, creative people a chance to get onto the world scene to compete, for funding and support. And they really do get success.
Coming up, cookingmummy.com. Have you heard of them? They're a portal, and they want to encourage neighbors here in Singapore to share their home-cooked food with one another. They're going to be pitching at Pitch Perfect, part of Crowdfunding Asia 2014. More on the perfect pitch with my guest, Kwek Hong Sin. We're trying to discover what makes crowdfunding take off like wildfire in some markets. When we return in Wow, I'm Michelle Martin. Stay tuned.
Add to your Wow Factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.
Finding out more about crowdfunding, she's the woman behind Crowdfunding Asia, happening August 4th and 5th, Crowdfunding Asia Summit, and she believes we're at the start of the crowdfunding wave here in Asia, a wave which has reached momentum in US, Europe, and Australia. Part of the event will be this 3-minute pitch where individuals will be able to basically stand up, talk about their story, and they'll be given 3 minutes to invite funding from the audience, backers, funders, and investors. What's your advice to individuals who want to pitch for the crowd?
Well, I think, there is really no difference in terms of whether you're pitching to the crowd or even a single VCs or a group of investors. Fundamentally, the innovators or the entrepreneurs have to have a very good business plan. They have to be very clear about what they're getting into. And, the other key aspect that investors are looking at are also the team of people who are behind the project. And through crowdfunding platform, generally, it actually also offers a interaction with the investors or the funders for them to have the feedback session along the way when they are getting funding. Feedback like, whether the product should be this way, that way, feedback in terms of the product development. They could actually get even, some wish lists from the investors or the funders. So having said that, typical crowdfunding platform providers, will let the whole entire campaign flow until the expiry time. But certain platform providers, in specific, like the space of equity crowdfunding in America, there's this platform provider called Our Crowd. They basically curate deals. They would validate the deals even far before they put the project online. And the moment they prep the investors, before they prep the innovators or the entrepreneurs, they even have conversation of the team or the CEO together with the investors before they even put it up onto the platform. But the moment they put it out to the platform, they would already have some interested parties to start that investment. And the platform itself also do shows and shares, who are interested or who have actually invested in the particular project.
This is a terrific initiative. You'll be able to find out more about the structure, the framework, the policies that support the growth of crowdfunding, probably rub shoulders with venture capitalists, incubators, digital marketeers. Sky's the limit, I think. If you're interested in crowdfunding, how can you get more information about the Crowdfunding Asia Summit?
Well, they can visit www.cfasia.org or call in 224-1466.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I know you're so passionate about crowdfunding here in Asia. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing more information with us. That's Kwek Hong Sin, the founder and a real game changer, in my opinion, when it comes to crowdfunding in Asia. Thank you so much for being on Wow.
Thank you.
Add to your wow factor with Michelle Martin in the Wow Club on 938 Live.